Positive energy and good vibrations from me to you. You have now tuned in to the Imperfect Fathers Podcast. My bad. I had to gotta turn the mic on.
I mean, that would be important.
Technical difficulties. We're gonna start this again. Positive energy and good vibrations from me to you. This is RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman, and this is the Imperfect Fathers Podcast. Yo, KB, say what up to the good people, man.
What up, good peoples? You already know who is your boy from It's Now and Never Entertainment. Man, we here for another great Sunday. We're talking about a hot topic. And you know what? I'm going to be excited to talk about this because I think this is something that us, in terms of the Black community, has really been putting on the back burner. And I think it's exactly what we need to talk about and exactly what we have to talk about because I believe it was the great Maya Angelou said, if you don't know where you've been, hallelujah, you may not know where you're going. You let the church say you're supposed to get some sound, but
oh yeah, I was wondering what that sounded like a mistake. there we go. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. Yo, listen. Yo, man, this is a dope week, man. We about to have a great conversation. But before we do that, man, you know we got bills to pay and we got to talk to the Father. So while we do that, Father, we thank you for another week. Grateful for another hour, another second, another minute just to be alive. Well, we know that our lives are precious. We understand that we are valuable because we have the families that we had wanted, and we have the family that we need to protect and move forward in life. So, God, we thank you for responsibility. Right now, we actually look over as we go across these airways that we may help somebody get through something and inspire somebody to be a better father from where they are right now currently. And these things we do ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I say.
Bow. Yo, check this out. Paying bills around this place now. Guess what? Those guys over at Now and Never Entertainment, phenomenal dude. Listen, for all your music needs, whether it be hip hop, gospel, R&B, neo soul, you name it, even country, the homeboy is versatile. If you have a project that you want to move forward, bring it to him. If it's in your head, I can guarantee he can bring it to life. Holla at that man KB over at Now and Never Entertainment. And if you use the words Imperfect, you'll get 50% off on all the beats in the beat store. That's 50% off. So shop smart, shop black, shop Now or Never Entertainment. And tell them guys over at the Imperfect Father sent you. Guess what? For the other sponsor of this beautiful podcast, Cassandra, my wife, she has a business called Cassie's Classic Designs. She prints on anything, whether it be hats, t-shirts, cups, signs, you name it. She designs it all. So if you have any print needs, whether it be even on your drawers, as the guys like to say once in a while, right? If you need something printed on your drawers or your socks, she can do that as well.
That's all.
Huh?
I said they might forget what day it is. Like,
right. You might need to find out what day it is on your drawers. Anyway, so if you need to get in contact with her, contact her at Instagram at Cassie's_classic_design. And if you don't want to do that and you're not on social media for whatever reason, get at her directly at Cassie'sClassicDesign@gmail.com. Yo, man, we are phenomenally happy right now. You know why? Because I got a big homie on allow me for the first time. I got my man James Penn with us tonight. He's a phenomenal dude. I had the opportunity to not only meet him virtually for the last few years, but actually in person just recently. So James Penn, set up to the good people, my guy.
Hey, man, what's happening, everybody? It's just a pleasure to be in this space. Like Ross said, we know each other virtually for several years. And I think it was just like a week ago, man. I was down in your neck of the woods down in Miami for my 15th anniversary because it's well known. Thank you. I appreciate it, brother. It's well known. I don't know. Rob probably didn't tell you this. He don't never like to give me my flowers, but I am the
whatever he does. See, I can't let him do that on my platform. I cannot let him do it. I'm ratchet. I know. I'm ratchet. That's messed up.
You felt it coming, didn't you?
Listen,
you felt it coming.
You can't just throw the man out in the middle of his. I think you need to
rude.
throw yourself out for this one.
All right. You know what?
I'm just saying, this dude is just he's button happy out here in these streets.
But you know what it was? James about to say something that me and him been beefing for the last couple of months.
the
So
people need to hear it.
all right, so go ahead, Jay. Let them know what the beef is about, man.
The beef is I'm the husband of the year for the last 15 years running. And, listen, first runner up is not a bad place to be in.
I don't even believe it. I don't even believe it. Don't even believe it.
Hey, you see, I didn't even call it second place. I called it first runner up, so it sounded even better. You know what I mean? So I'm the husband of the year for the last 15 years running.
I think Ron Burgundy said it best. He said, if you're not number one, you're not winning.
Come on.
So
he said something.
But it's serious. As I would, it was down on my 15th wedding anniversary, man. I had the pleasure to meet Rod in person, man, and it felt like we already knew each other, which obviously we do. It's the power of this age we live in. We've got a chance to connect, but just getting a chance to press palms, look eye to eye, have our wives meet, and everything. It was great. So I'm just happy to be here in the space tonight.
Man, listen. It was definitely a phenomenal event. We didn't get a chance to spend as much time because babysitting is finical when you're new down here. It's finicky and all that bull BS goes on with your babysitter. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. On this beautiful podcast tonight, we're gonna talk about dealing with our traumas, man. Normally, I've been traumatized by a lot of things in my life. But tonight we're talking about dealing with our traumas, man, and how important it is to deal with them. I titled it "Dealing with Your Traumas Before Your Traumas Deal with You," right? Because that's what happens, right? We if we don't deal with our traumas, those things show up later on in our relationships, in our experiences, in our day-to-day lives. So, before we get in, we got somebody over here in the comments saying, "Amen, God bless." Appreciate you, Irvin. Appreciate you, King. Welcome to the platform. And anybody out there, whether you're on the Breakthrough Kings platform or you're on our platform, we appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. And everybody who's going to check us out later on, do us a favor, like, comment, and share. Hit that subscribe button over on YouTube as well, guys. We appreciate it. That digital currency means a lot to us. We definitely do appreciate it.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, definitely. Big Mike Williams over on the Breakthrough Kings. Shout out to you, homie. We appreciate you. So, Jay, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about it. So, when it comes down to trauma, man, what do you know about the traumas? What do you know about the traumas of life?
Listen, when I think about trauma, man, I was thinking about this topic. Obviously, we were kind of preparing for this conversation here, and I think it's easier for me, and I think for a lot of other men as well. Like we're visual, and we understand analogies and everything. I just think of like physical trauma, right? So one of the things, Rod, I'm not even sure if we talk much about is I have a wrestling background. I wrestled at a collegiate level. I coach high school wrestling. And I just started coaching high school wrestling just a couple of years ago after, more than a decade of being away from the mat, right? And I'm hopping back out here with these, teenage boys. I'm getting beat up by teenage boys, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get back into it and everything. And I got, I think what we call it, the non-medical term, we just stinger, how that part right there just be stinging. And this thing, usually you if you play football or whatever, you got a stinger. It lasts for a couple minutes, maybe
get rid
a
of
day, but you'd be good to go. But it persisted for a minute, right?
No spring chicken.
Oh my, no spring chicken. So this thing was going on. I was like, okay, it's a stinger, But after it wouldn't go away after some time, right? After it wouldn't go away, and I still had pain. I said, I got to go get some treatment. This is not something I could deal with on my own. I got to get some therapy, right? So I went to the physical therapist. And I was like, yo, right here, man, I'm having trouble. Like my neck, I can't bend my neck. I'm doing this whole stiff number. I'm like, yo, this is the truth. And so the therapist he's like, okay, lay down on the table. And he starts pressing on my back, like lower back. And I was like, yo, and it's like my arm too. It's like from here all the way through my arm. And my hand even be tingling sometimes. And he starts working on my back. I'm like, no, doc. I said up here, like my neck and my arm. Why you messing with my back? So sometimes like where we're feeling the pain, there's another source that needs to be worked on.
Go there, right? You working.
There's another source that needs to be worked on. And sometimes we are not equipped enough to diagnose that ourselves. We got to go get some help. So somebody else that could look, sometimes you can't see the picture because you're the one in the frame. And so when we're dealing with a situation, we need someone outside of the frame to come in sometimes to be able to diagnose, because we may just be trying to deal with the exact spot of the symptom, but it may be somewhere else is the root cause of it. And so as he worked on my back, it was interesting. They had these signs all over the place. It said, pain is the check engine light for the body, right? Pain is a check when something, right? When your check engine light come on, we know our wives, right? They'll ride around with the check engine light, the oil light. They just ride. But like most men, like, yo, if the check engine light come on, like, we understand, yo, wait a minute, I need to deal with that before it ends up being a bigger problem. So when you're dealing with pain, in my sense, it was a physical pain, but if you're dealing with pain in any area of your life, that's a check engine light to let you know, yo, something is going on that you need to investigate.
Facts. Man.
What you got, KB?
Now, I was gonna say that's a great way to break it down, like, for real, because I think a lot of us, what we do is we leave one pain to go to the next. So what we do is we bring that pain and we just compound in pain, like we like to say, that old PlayStation injury that we had from way back in the days, that's still manifesting till this day. And we wonder why we can't have a successful relationship, or why we can't communicate at a level that an adult should really be able to communicate in. Is because we've been traumatized from the time that we was yay tall. And and I'm just speaking for me. I can't speak for nobody else. This is directly talking about me. I've just been traumatized. So I need to figure out, and like you said, go and talk to someone. Professional help out here. Back in the days, like, it was considered to be taboo, but now we're seeing that it's being really accepted now, that it's okay to talk to somebody. Matter of fact, go talk to somebody. Right. It's not looked at as if you're less of a man. If you got that on your chest, man, just let it out. Sometimes it feels great to just let it out. And sometimes talking to a complete stranger where you could really get down to the nitty-gritty and tell them everything might just be what you need to do.
That's a fact. When I look at the trauma, right, and James' analogy hits home, because we always deal with the result of something, right? We like it when it comes down to pains and all that. We deal with, like, let's say for instance a cut. We'll deal with the cut rather than find out, what did you get cut on? What was it that caused this? And a lot of times we don't even deal with the cut the proper way. Like, a lot of times our cut will need stitches and sutures, and we'll put a Band-Aid on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's right there when the trauma starts really leaking over into other things in our lives. So let's talk about traumas from our childhood into our manhood, right? That can leak over. Because I know myself personally, I've had some issues that I didn't know I had until I spoke to a professional, right? I had a whole abandonment issue that I didn't know was real until I spoke to someone else. And my man James Penn has a saying that I stole from him, is the quality. What is it? I don't want to butcher it, James. The quality of life is based upon the questions you ask yourself. Did I do it right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're referring to the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself.
There
right?
You go.
Well, okay, gotcha. Because I know you also, talk about what do you say to yourself about yourself when you're by yourself, and both of those things kind of tie together, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, that's where I realized so many of my things that bled over into my relationship, my marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize that I had a sexual issue that I had to deal with. And it had nothing to do with the fact that, like, nothing crazy, like no child porn or anything like that. It was the fact that I had an issue that I couldn't be satisfied by a woman. So I was trying to find all of these women to satisfy my physical pleasure. And the truth of the matter was I was looking for fulfillment in the wrong ways, all because of traumas that I had not dealt with. So I know that myself personally, the trauma that I'm speaking about caused myself and my family a lot of issues in the beginning, right? Especially my wife. It caused her a lot of headaches to deal with, because she's like, how can I keep up with your sex drive, bro? Like, you had sex with all these women at one time. How can I possibly keep up? And the truth of the matter was, it was the fact that I had to deal with my own traumas from my growing up. And until I dealt with those, I was never satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like, until I actually spoke about those things and got them off my chest, I was just never satisfied. So now here I am now as a grown man in a relationship, married with 2 kids, and saying to myself, wow, I'm glad just know that I dealt with. I can see these things now. Like James said, when you're in the frame, you can't see what's going on in the picture. But after I stepped out of it and realizing it and got the professional help, man, the life has definitely been different for me. So I would definitely want to speak about any traumas that caused you guys any things from back when you were a child to now as an adult.
Well, man, one of the things I would say that I pick up from what you're saying there is, how do you identify if you have trauma or not? Right, like we got to unpack that, right?
Okay,
so like what are the signs? Because you were able to identify it at some point that, yo, wait a minute, this is a trauma, this is somebody to deal with, but you had went for some period without dealing with it. And in that period where you were, living that lifestyle, that promiscuous lifestyle, trying to, fill some void, you probably didn't even recognize that anything was off with it.
No,
right?
Definitely not.
You did.
I thought I was living life, Jay.
Because you're living life, right? And so I want to spend a little time on this because there might be a brother out there that's listening and it feels like, yo, trauma. I mean, y'all talk about trauma, okay? I don't have no trauma. So how do you even identify if you have trauma, right? And I think if you have dysfunction in any area, right? If like as you talked about, trying to be fulfilled, a lot of times we sedate ourselves as men. We sedate ourselves through promiscuous or meaningless sex, right? We'll sedate ourselves through, drugs or substance abuse, alcoholism, things of that nature. And sometimes you might be a functioning alcoholic. So it's like, yo, I'm good because I still go to work, I still do my thing, or even through, violence, particularly in our community. We see trauma, we see dysfunction by how we respond to things in our environment. So if any little thing can trigger you to violence, it's a sign of trauma. You can determine the size of the man by the size of the thing that makes him upset. There shouldn't be that many things that make you upset for more than a few seconds.
Right.
But if you flying off the handle, right? So I'm just throwing out just a few ways for any kings that are listening to identify, like, yo, this might be something I need to go get. If I have like Rod's talking about, if I'm sedating myself through promiscuous lifestyle, if I'm sedating myself through alcohol or drug abuse, or if I find myself flying off the handle, these are some telltale signs that there's some trauma that you need to start to, look into.
Right. And also too, another sign that you're just constantly angry, like for no reason. No one's making you angry. You just find yourself angry for no apparent reason. That was something that even myself, Jay, I had to deal with, bro. Like I'd wake up some morning and just be like, yo, what am I so mad about? Like, and I could really be physically mad to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm ready to fight or something. And like all those things came from not dealing with the traumas of growing up, bro. Like not having a father, right? Those things, the abandonment issues, just the a whole regret, like the mindset of having to prove something because I didn't feel worthy, right? The validation, all those things played a part in it. So like it's tremendous to be able to point those things out because they could change the path of your life. I always tell everybody I don't talk from books. I speak from my life experience. And to be honest, if I did not address these things, bro, I could not be sitting here right now. I probably wouldn't be married. A lot of my life wouldn't be the way it is right now had I not addressed those issues. So it's vitally important if you want to move forward and live a healthy life to identify those traumas.
Yeah, and let me clarify, a little something here. It's not that we're necessarily angry for, quote, no reason, right? Because you even identify like a reason, your father not being there. Well, that's a reason, but like how we deal with it though, right, is an indication if we're haven't gotten through trauma, right? Like there may be a reason to be angry, but how are you dealing with that anger, right? Like you can't be dealing with that anger like in a sense of like unforgiveness. That's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Right.
So you might have something that was really an offense to you, something that really caused the pain, something that it was a good reason for you to be in pain or hurt, but are you dealing with that in a healthy manner? Are you dealing that? I like to get away from right and wrong, but are you dealing with it in a way that serves you? So I might feel some pain from my father not being there, right? Like my father, I've shared my story, hey, forget my father not being there. When I was 18 months old, my father shot me with a sawed-off shotgun, right? My mom divorced my dad. He didn't take it so well. She's picking me up out of the car. She's holding me, and he comes with a sawed-off shotgun, shoots right. It hits her in the abdomen, hits me in the right hip. You know, fortunately, she's still here. You know, and me as well. But you know, I dealt with some trauma. You know, as a result from that, physical, mental, and emotional. Right.
Right.
You know, being picked on as a child. You know, because I'm already short by you know just natural stature. But then I walked with a limp because I was shot in 18. You know, in the leg when I was 18 months old. So you know, when I look back at not being able to have boundaries and tell people no. I can look back to, oh, wait a minute. I discovered early on in life, right, as being the shortest one in class and walk with a lip, that I could be a people pleaser. People be nicer to me if I just, you know, become a just be a people pleaser. And so, you know, carrying that into adult life, then you have a problem with saying no.
Right.
Right. Well, that's creating problems and dysfunction in life. Right. Until I learn how to deal with that. But it all goes back to a trauma where, you know, that I got to really get back to the root cause of it. Right. So, you know, it runs deep, man. It runs deep at, you know, one, identifying it and then realizing that it's okay. It's okay to have a pain, but how do you deal with it? It's okay to be that way. It ain't okay to stay that way. I say, like, there's nothing wrong with something being wrong. There's nothing wrong with something being wrong.
Facts.
It's okay to be that way. It's not okay to stay that way. You're born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your decisions.
Wow. Wow. Yo, I've never heard that one. You was born looking like your parents, but you will die looking like your decisions. Yo, right, that's like, gonna be a clip.
Like my parents, like it wasn't my fault that my dad decided to, you know, take that action that he did when I was 18 months old. Right. That wasn't my fault, but it's my responsibility. I'm gonna die looking like my decision of how I handled that. I could have walked around with the anger. I could have walked around with still the people pleasing. I could have walked around because I had that anger and resentment as well. Like, yo, if I, you know, he did this to me, man. If I had a chance, you know, once I understood it and I got older and everything, I could have walked around with unforgiveness, drinking poison, hoping that he died. Right. Forgiving isn't forgetting, it's just remembering the wrong in the right way. So like I can remember it in a different, you know, different manner to free myself, not to free him. So it wasn't my fault that I was born into that, but I'm still gonna die looking like the decisions of how I handled it.
That's cool. Yeah, my bad, gentlemen. I was on daddy duties. My baby was in the tub and she was screaming ants, so
shout out to my goddaughter, man.
You feel me?
Shout out to the baby girl.
You're gonna have to come and deal with her, like.
Listen, man. Well, we'll talk about that because I heard she's on her way down here in a few weeks anyway. I already heard. So, yo, Jay, let's talk about that for a second, man, if you don't mind, because that had to be something like growing up, bro. Like how did you deal with that once you like you said, once you became to the age of a teenager understanding, right? Like once you had the age of understanding, how did you deal with the relationship with the understanding your pops did that?
So, man, it's so deep because, you know, we live life forward, but we understand it backwards. It wasn't even until I was in my 20s that I really started to understand the impact and deep implications of something that happened when I was 18 months old. So check this out. So I was 18 months old. Like, can you remember when you were 18 months old? I can't consciously remember when I was 18 months old, but subconsciously, I still remembered the traumatic incident of being shot. Here's how I know. I figured it out, you know, as I understood psychology in college and retrospect. Like when I was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, going to the fair, we would have to leave the fair early before the fireworks went off because the fireworks would scare me to tears. Now, it's natural that if you just have an unexpected loud sound, you might jump, get started for a second, but then usually like you kind of laugh, oh man, that got, you know, and you good to go. No, like the fireworks would start and I would be crying. We had to go. Like this is dating me a little bit, but remember when cars used to backfire? Right?
Yeah.
A car would backfire, right? A car would backfire or a motorcycle or something. Like I would be crying, and I wasn't like I'm not like 3 or 4 where you're like a little baby. Okay, you're scared, but I'm like 8 years old. And then when I got in my 20s, I realized like, yo, subconsciously, those loud noises of a car backfiring or fireworks, I probably subconsciously still remembered the sound of being shot when I was 18 months old.
Wow.
Right. And so, you couple that with, again, being picked on and teased, because of my limp, or, when you had a donuts with dad, hide your dad, all of the things that a lot of people deal with not having their dad, and realizing that not only my dad wasn't there, but he shot me and my mom. My mom deals with mental health issues. A lot of it, I believe, as a result of fortunately for me, I only subconsciously remember, but she consciously had to go through that traumatic experience,
Right.
So then I've also got the quote unquote crazy mom piled on top of all of that. Man, if I were to carry that for all of my life, is like, how is that gonna help me? How's it gonna serve me? Let me say it that way. Remember, I like to get away from it's not about right or wrong. It wouldn't be wrong if you didn't forgive them. Okay, maybe it wouldn't be wrong, but how would it serve me? So when I was in my 20s, I had to make a decision that I had to release and let that go. And I had to remember it in a different way. Again, forgiveness, not forgetting, is remembering the wrong in the right way. So how is remembering the right way in that scenario? It's, save for the grace of God, there go I. Meaning the most true thing you can ever say is, if I was you, I'd do the same thing. It is the truest statement you could ever make, because if you were that exact same person, had the exact same experiences as them, absolutely. Exact same personality, exact same temperament, you do the same thing. So it doesn't justify or make it right what he did. Nothing does that. But I don't know his upbringing, his situation, his circumstances, his substance abuse at the time, right. The mental state, the things he did, his temperament, person, all the combinations of things that led him to that. Fortunately for me, I haven't had that combination of temperament and personality and experiences and substance abuse and all those things that make me be that type of person. So I'm just grateful and fortunate that I'm not that, right? So, that's the type of reason and understanding I got to be able to deal with it.
That's dope as hell. So
thank you, James.
For real.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for not just for like us on this platform, but there's gonna be men that hear this later. And bro, I can't even imagine. Right. I don't think anyone can imagine being shot at 18 months.
Yo, you could be a rapper.
Yo, I might have to, what I'm saying, release an album, might go double plastic.
Yo, for real, you already got street credit. You've been hit already. You got street credit.
Nobody got hit like me.
Right.
18 months getting hit like me. You know what I mean?
You understand me? Like, but yo, Jay, let's talk about what were the conscious steps that you took to begin to heal, what was that thought process, and what was the first step that you decided that I'm going to take to be able to even do this? Or was it kind of like that first step and then a couple of steps backwards to kind of reevaluate and then going back forward and try it again?
So I think for me, even in my teenage years, it wasn't a conscious step, right? I kind of remember get to some of the conscious steps, but it wasn't a conscious step. But you just have a choice. You're faced with a choice of living in suffering or happiness. Every moment, you have a choice to live in suffering or happiness, right? Now there are varying degrees of suffering and varying degrees of happiness, right? So like if you're dealing with like regret, is that suffering or happiness? Right. If you're dealing with fear and anticipation of something that's going to happen, right? Is that suffering or happiness? If you're living in despair, if you're living in anger, if you're living in hatred, if you're living in revenge, is that suffering or happiness? These are all states of varying degrees, varying manifestations of suffering, right? And so one of the things that I start to realize is like, if I can choose my mental and emotional state, which I can, it may take some work on shaping my philosophy to be able to default to these different things, but I can't ultimately choose my mental and emotional state. Why would I choose suffering? Why would I choose that, right? And so one of the things that I ended up discovering that helped me, stay out of a state of suffering and more in a state of happiness is being present. Being present. Yes. So whenever I start to feel like going to a state of suffering, I ask myself, what's missing from my life right now in this moment? Like right now in this moment, while we're on here, we're all building whatever. Like there's probably 1,000 things each of us could think of that is not exactly the way we would like them to go, and we could spend negative suffering energy on. Man, this is going on, that's going on. But right now in this moment, what's missing from your life? As you're watching, as you're listening to this, as you listen to the replay, like what's missing from your life right now at this moment? Right. Because if you're thinking of vengeance or regret, that you're living in the past. You're in the present right now, but you're thinking about something in the past. If you're in a state of despair and anxiety and fear, you're living in the future. A lot of times we're fearful of things that never even happen anyway.
Facts. That's
right? You spend all this energy. Like worrying does not solve tomorrow's problems. It just takes away today's peace.
Facts.
So let me just be present, right? Number one. And then two, I kind of touched on this earlier, is like forgiveness. So that was a conscious thing that I did. You know, my father, he was in and out of jail all throughout my childhood. But when he got out one other time, once I was in my 20s, I went down and visited him. You know, he had got out of jail, and I let him know, hey, listen, you know, I just want to let you know, I'm letting you know this for you, but for me, I forgave you years ago. You know, and you know, that was a conscious step and moment for me, you know, to deal with it as well. But so I would say, you know, start off with just like, do I want to be angry? Do I want to walk around with that tension and, you know, end up having a freaking heart attack at 30 years old or something? Because like you're really doing stuff to your body by holding all that in. Absolutely. You're releasing cholesterol into your arteries. You're releasing, you know, adrenaline is there for a reason. It, like if your life was in danger, somebody busted in any one of our offices right now, boom, adrenaline is gonna kick. It's to help us survive a situation. But when you stay in a constant state of pumping adrenaline through your body, there's health implications to this, right? So I'm not really trying to check out of here. So let me become a bigger man to be able to control my emotions, because you could tell the size of the man by the size of the thing that makes him upset. So I want to be a bigger man and not let, you know, don't sweat the small stuff. Everything's small.
That's the one thing, like, that's one of my mentors that told me the last couple of years, is like, while I was dealing with my whole anger management and all those things, is that if it's not going to affect you for the next 5 to 10 years, it shouldn't affect you for the next 5 to 10 minutes. And I held that now, and that has given me such peace, bro. Like my peace of mind now, you can't have. Like I didn't realize I didn't have it to begin with, which is so crazy. If you asked me 5 to 10 years ago, was I at peace? I didn't know anything other than what I felt, so I would have told you, yeah. But now, in hindsight, and where I am now, in the state of peace that I've manifested for my life now, man, I was in the world of chaos, and I was living in it, and I was abiding in it with no problem, right? Just because of the past traumas. So, once again, Jay, I appreciate you for your transparency on this platform, because it helped me, and I know it's gonna help some other man at some point, whether not today or whenever they hear on this platform. So thank you.
That's a fact. Like, just to kind of take it away for just a bit, I deal with it a little bit differently. And I don't know if it's just the big ass procrastination in me, or procrastinator that I am, that I'm working on. But I, for real, okay, thank you, baby. If I'm dealing with something, I just don't deal with it. And I sleep good at night. I mean, I sleep really good at night. But it's some certain things that you need to actually really be dealing with. And I won't just necessarily deal with it. It's just whatever, you know. So, and I think I was just traumatized to that point where I'd rather just not deal with it, and whatever the consequences may be, so let it be. And to be honest with you, it probably come from, and it's gonna be sounding real unpopular, but I think it comes from childhood whoopings. To be quite honest with you, you know, like I was one of those, like, I'm gonna do it. Okay, 1 second, boo boo. So I was one of those who, I'm gonna get in trouble anyway. I might as well go ahead and go balls to the wall and just deal with the consequences later. It is what it is. And I'll be in so much peace while I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do. And I get home and just have to deal with it and then be right back to whatever it was. Like, so, and okay, I gotta go get her some water.
Yeah, handy your BI, because she's not gonna let you live. Get her that water. So, and like that, honest to God, like I was like KB for a little minute, and I gotta be transparent. For me, it was just like, yeah, I'd much rather not deal. And me and you spoke about it, Jay, even to the point of me leaving my job as of late. I knew that I should have left earlier, right? I knew it. The time was come. I knew it. Management knew it. I was just running from my responsibilities of my day-to-day activities, right? I was like, yo, if I go to work for these few hours, I don't have to focus in and worry about having leads coming in for my business for these hours. I don't have to worry about the responsibility of making sure the content is out. All these things are happening while the hours I'm at work. And the truth of the matter was, I was just running from being to have to do those things. I was procrastinating. And where did that come from? I think KB's right. Like the childhood trauma of knowing that if you do something wrong the certain way, you get blasted for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in my household, my mother didn't play no games. You tighten up or she tightened you up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes I believe, I even talked to my therapist about this, that we'd rather deal with what we know is coming rather than what we don't know is coming. So if you know that by not doing something, you're gonna get an ass kicking for it. All right, well, I know the ass kicking is coming, so I deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Rather than do whatever it is that you need to do.
See, so here's the thing with that is it simply boils down to this. It doesn't hurt bad enough. The consequence of not dealing with it right now doesn't hurt bad enough, at least not right now. But what we need to do is we need to involve in our thinking and be more sophisticated and have a little more foresight and understanding that when you defer things, interest multiplies. When you defer, interest multiplies, right?
Facts.
Whenever you defer a payment, right? Hey, cool. You ain't got to pay it now. You're just gonna pay more later.
On that
right?
back end. Facts.
Right? Like even when it comes to our health, you got a choice. You gonna pay the farmer or you gonna pay Big Pharma, right? So like one of them gotta pay. People's like, oh, but healthy food costs more. So does medication at the end of life. Like which one you gonna pay? It gonna cost. Okay, cool. Don't pay with discipline in your diet now. Don't worry about it. Don't pay. You just gonna pay a whole lot more later. A lot more pain. Like death shouldn't draw out for 10, 15 years of sickness and ailments and in the hospital, at the hospital, ER. If you ever see, like, if you ever have to witness somebody die over the span of years,
that hurts.
It's not a beautiful situation. Definitely. And that's what we're doing with ourselves when we defer. When we defer, it doesn't go away. This is going, you just put it into the future, right? And it don't always have to be in a negative way. When you put something in the future, sometimes you could defer, right? And you're planting seeds and you're deferring, and you just, something, the resource isn't leaving your life, it's just leaving your hand and going into your future. It could be in a positive way too. But when we start deferring, dealing with the consequences of, negative actions or whatever it is, like, we're just gonna pay for it. We're just gonna pay more later.
No,
Facts. That's a fact.
I could testify to that. And it's something that I'm learning now, and it's a journey that I started probably like middle of last year, even when we started this whole thing. And I'm like, I started speaking on grace and my whole thing about giving myself grace, because I'll be such a critic of myself, and but allowing myself to literally grow in grace, and also extending that grace to everybody else. So you know what? Okay. And okay, I'm gonna get you some popsicles. Okay.
I love it. I love how present. I love how present you remain with the.
Oh yeah, this is the Imperfect Father podcast. Real time, daddy work.
You say you what? I want to be good. Are you gonna be good? You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, boo.
Hey, beautiful.
Oh, I'm shy now.
Oh yeah, right there.
You can't be shy. You here every week. We about to get you a microphone, girl.
We'll get you some popsicles in a minute, okay? Watch
your beautiful self. I love you, girl.
I love you. Daddy. Yes, baby.
It's your pretty self. So we coming down to the second half of the podcast, right? So let's talk about our boy Kwame Brown, man.
Son.
Let's talk about Kwame, man.
Yo, man. Man, I'm sending positive energies to my boy,
And
Mr.
good
Brown.
vibration. And good vibration.
Ain't
We
good
need
Good
both
vibes.
of them.
vibrations.
He need
He
them
need
all.
both.
I'm
How
sending,
about
you
some
know,
trauma?
understand
Ooh.
me? I'm
Yeah.
referring to him as Mr. Brown from here on out.
Yes, you put some
Um,
respect on his name.
I
You
have
hear me?
to. You understand me? I have to. Bro, want all the smoke. You
Listen,
understand me?
he coming for everybody. You don't play with that man right now, Mr. Brown. That man name is Mr. Brown. Don't call him Kwame nothing. You better put some
Mi-
respect on his name. So you check
Mr.
this
Brown
out.
has been traumatized.
Anybody who don't know who we're talking about right now, we're talking about an NBA player by the name of Kwame Brown. Now for the last 20 years, it's no secret. The man's name has literally been the laughing stock of the NBA. And as of late, that man said enough is enough. But we decided we're going to talk about him because we realized that a lot of things that he's and the way he's going about going on the last couple of let me go backwards. As of late, the young man has went off. Right, there was an episode on a podcast called All the Smoke, and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson had made mentions of the young man. And I guess that was just the final time of his name being mentioned in a negative light that he had enough of. And he just went to his car and went to his own YouTube page and went buck wow,
Clean up.
um, verbally going insane on anybody that mentioned his name. But if you want to get caught up, definitely go on YouTube and check his name out, Kwame Brown. You can definitely see what we're talking about. But fast forward to right now, what's going on right now? It's been 20 years, right, since that man. He was the number one pick in the NBA draft, right? The number one pick, and he didn't pan out to be the best player, right? He didn't pan out to be live up to his potential. But the whole entire NBA has been clowning him for 20 years, on TV, off TV, on air, off air, going in on him. So now, as of late, he had enough, right? And he took to YouTube and he went on a tirade and just going in, right? Going in on anybody who mentioned his name in a negative way. But the reason we're bringing him up is because if you listen to that man and you listen to him speak and hear his voice, that man has been traumatized. Like that man has been hurt.
Okay.
And the way it's coming out now, and when you first hear it, it's like, oh man, this man is like, he's just lashing out. But the truth is, the man is hurt. You know what I'm saying? So we decided that we're going to talk about him this week because that's a form of trauma right there. You know what I'm saying? A major form. Because think about it, we can't imagine on a major scale, on a worldwide scales where everybody's clowning you, right? Everybody you know, your name is a joke. You understand? Like, could you imagine your name being a joke for 20 years? Like that's rough. So
Tough.
let's just talk about that, man.
I mean, just kind of doing. I didn't deep dive in terms of like any kind of research or anything like that, but you know, come to find out, based on some sources, like his dad is doing time for
Mm,
murder. His brother doing time for murder. Another one of his brother was just recently sentenced. Guess what?
for murder.
Doing time for murder. So this man literally, and this, I think his dad was in and out of jail, and then the final time he got messed around and then got, you know, that murder case. But this is what he knew growing up. So this man been traumatized by seeing death and hearing about death and hearing about how his dad did this, his other brother did this, and recently his other brother. Like, this is a lot of things for you to be carrying. Like, you don't know what kind of temperament that you have inside you that could make you snap at any time. This is why I refer to Mr. Brown as Mr. Brown. I don't want none of them smokes. You understand me? So I'm like, you know, at what point? And then on top of that, you make it to your dream
Right.
just to have your dream shut the door in your face. But to be quite honest with you, he had a pretty good career, bro. I mean, a lot of people like he is this meme and stuff like that, but he stayed 12 years in the league. he didn't live up to what we expected him to. But 12 years in the league is no small stint. Like, I think the longevity for the league, and this might be an NFL quote that I'm thinking of, but I think it's like 4 years or 5 years or something like that.
But think about this. Like you said, do you know how many men there are trying to get into the league yearly? Like, do you know how many men are competing for a job? And I think there's all of like 400 spots, right? So for that man to go number one, right, to get drafted number one, and to be in the league for 12 years, even if, maybe he has a bust, maybe all that stuff is true, but he stayed in the league for 20 years. Now let's talk about what that really entails. That man was able to buy his mama a house, right? That man, he's financially set, right? Like,
hopefully.
So really, where's the bad at, right? Like, if in the world of basketball, right, and in the small world of basketball, yeah, he might not have lived up to potential, but in all actuality in life, that man succeeded.
He
superseded, right? Like,
he retired years ago, and in what, his early 40s or late 30s?
Facts.
Not bad. Not bad
But,
at all.
but let me ask you a question, Jay. So, how do you feel about my man Kwame? Like, how do you feel about his trauma?
So as I'm thinking about it, I'm listening to the conversation as we talk about Mr. Brown, right? and we joke about that aspect of Mr. Brown to me. What we're doing in this joke is really revealing. Is I think it's a lesson in this for people to take out. Is like, how do you deal with somebody that is evident that they're dealing with trauma, right? Like, so we're saying, look, I'm gonna be more sensitive to the situation. It's obvious that somebody's dealing with trauma. Let me respond accordingly for a multitude of reasons. One is like, one, to protect myself. One, to protect myself, and two, as the compassionate thing to do, right?
Absolutely.
So, for both of those reasons, right? We can notice people in our everyday environment that it's clear that they're dealing with trauma by how they're acting, right? Particularly amongst our brothers like Kings out in the street, right? You can see even in Kwame Brown's presentation and how he is, choosing to show up, right? It's very familiar to us from, the hyper masculine theatrics. Hey, you really all the smoke, right? Y'all keep with my name, and we know that energy. We've seen that energy.
Facts.
We know where that comes from. So we're used to seeing that type of trauma. And here what we're saying right now is, I'm gonna move a little different. One, because let me be smart about protecting myself. Why? Because we understand that hurt people. Facts. Let me take it back to, like, okay, again, another wrestling injury. I broke my knee, right? I broke my knee. I had the little scooter for a little while. I had the crutches and all of that. Like, if you're ever around somebody that's hurt, like I'm on crutches. We had, dinner party, mingling party, something. I got some coffee. I spilled some hot coffee. Yo, man, you hurting people. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I'm hurt, and I can't help but hurt people that's around me. And even if it's not a unconscious, intentional hurt, right? Like, I'm still hurting you. But then sometimes it might be intentional because I'm trying to protect. So if my knee is hurt and I feel like you about to get close, I might hit you as a preemptive strike to protect myself from what I think, like, you're gonna hurt me because I'm hurt, and hurt people. Hey, back up, bro. You didn't, but you almost. It was too close for comfort. Right. And so we got to we understand this, right? This brother's dealing with trauma. He's gonna hurt people preemptively. He's gonna hurt people unintentionally, right? Because he's dealing with trauma. But what we need to understand is, when somebody is dealing with that, right? They got some pain going on. Let me give some space. Let me give some compassion for them and for my own protection, and understanding that. And this is what I would hope that the brother, Mr. Kwame Brown would understand, is that, one, you gotta protect yourself from getting to that point, right? You gotta protect. If you are, like, to the point of, like, he's been dealing with this for 20 years. Like, everybody's got a breaking point. Right. I can't let you. If I have a wound and everybody is poking at my wound, at some point you gonna snap. Right. So you have to figure out a way to protect yourself. from that. That's number one, right? And number two, this is something that our kings really got to understand. It is, and this is, let me borrow this from my brother Elon Marcus, man. This brother, yeah, check him out on social media, man. He be dropping major gems all the time, and really just understand and break down the psychology of people, humans, right? But really, when it comes to men, one of the things brother Elon Marcus points out is it is highly masculine to be able to resolve conflict in a non-confrontational way. And our brothers, that's not how where a lot of us come from. What?
Yo, Jace,
Let me say it again. It's highly masculine,
right,
to deal with and resolve conflict in a non-confrontational way. You don't see that from some of the places we come from. The default is confrontation. What?
Off the rip.
Hey, what? We default to confrontation. Why? Because it's the last stand. Like we don't have any power. We don't really have any power. So the only resource of power that we can go to is the hypermasculine theatrics, and we fight every war at our doorstep versus figuring out how to really operate in power and masculinity and deal with things before they show up. I want to deal with threats before they come to my doorstep.
Facts.
And so if I see a potential for conflict, or I see a potential for confrontation, it's highly masculine for me to preempt that in a way that doesn't lead to war, right? And we gotta get to the higher level of understanding, man.
Yo, man, like you that's a valuable topic, man, and point, because we spoke about that in our episode about masculinity, right? Like we was raised in believing that the first thing we do is to show masculinity is getting physically aggressive, and the truth of the matter is it's a total opposite. Like you at your lowest form once you get to the physical aggression. Once you've allowed yourself to get to the point where you're physically aggressive, you are now at your lowest vibration. And to be honest, like it's destructive. It's nothing productive from that vibration. There's nothing at all. You're only going to cause damage now and later, right? Depending on how it transitions. So
what's it called again? Cole said it on one of his on his latest album. He was like, he had to show up mean and look mean. And I think that's how we all do it. We show up looking mean so we could avoid conflict. Thinking if I'm looking mean enough, nobody gonna step to me.
But let's think about it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just bringing that up because I think that's a form of trauma too, that we're showing up a certain kind of way. And I think David Chappelle's mom said it one time too. To him, he was like, sometimes you got to show up as a lion so you can be the lamb that you really are. And it's us showing up, not being our authentic selves. And I do this all the time. That like if you come at me or you do something to me, I will blow up the first time just so you could know never to do that ever again, as opposed to me having a conversation with you saying, hey, I really dislike what you did here, and don't take it back there. I feel like sometimes you have to, and this is a flaw for me, I feel like I have to go there with you so you can never try me like that again. And Doc and I had many conversations like that and dealing with our babies. I'm gonna show up crazy, so she got a crazy one.
Listen. I ain't gonna tell you. I no lie. Listen, God is dealing with me when it comes to my babies, man. Because I'm not mentally okay. Like there's some things that's not okay with me, man. And I really I be begging and pleading people, please play with me at this stage of my life.
Okay.
You would survive because I wouldn't even respond. Like you violate me at this stage of the game, you got it. But dear God, if you play with my babies, I'm not there yet. God has not got me there yet to be able to control that part of me yet, man. And also, like if we talk about trauma, that's from trauma. Let me tell you where. See, my mother is a very, very hard person, right? She's a very, very tough and really strong woman. Why? Because her childhood was taken away from her. Right at a very early age, she had to be a mom and all that because her mother was in a wheelchair in her teens. She went from walking around to now her mother being a paraplegic and having to take care of the house. So my mother raised me out of trauma, right? She raised me out of a protective mindset where you got to protect yourself against anything. No matter what's going on, you defend it. And if something comes to your children, oh my God, like I watched my mother literally go ape crazy in the supermarket one day because somebody bumped me. And I remember it like because it was like, oh my God, I've never seen my mother get this crazy. And now just even speaking about it right now, it reminds me of why I'm like I am to my kids, is because I'm not gonna allow you to have that second to do whatever you think you're gonna do to my child. Now, in no actuality, I don't have no control of what happens in somebody else's movements. But in my mind, in my psyche, is like if I show up a certain way, I can stop that from happening. Now, it might not be the truth, but the case is, I'm still going to let the jury be out on that one, because I believe that my daughter's school knows I'm not playing. I'll put you on really quick, Jay. So what happened was my wife decided my beautiful young daughter had a first day of school this year, and my wife was a teacher, right? She's a wonderful teacher, so she knows the school system and all that. Plus, COVID hit is different, things that how to go about getting kids into school. So she goes to drop her off to school and came back really quick. I said, babe, that was quick. You came and dropped her back in school really fast? Oh, yeah. I let her go in the building. You let her just go in the building? Oh, yeah. She went with the lady inside of the building. She went with a lady inside of a building that you didn't go into? You didn't see what? No, it was okay. Oh, no, it's not okay. Okay, so now I'm getting dressed. Go get my child. What? Oh, you still talking? Okay. I'm getting dressed now. So I get to the building, right? I get to the building and I'm like, yo, listen, I understand. In stores, there's protocols. You go to the store, you go to the aisle, things you want, you go to the register, you pay for it, you walk out. It's protocol. I get it. Now in schools, especially now with COVID, you have your protocols. I'm not one to ruffle the feathers. I get it. But I also have protocol myself as a father. And if you can't respect those protocols, then we have to separate ways, which is meaning is if I can't meet the teacher or the person who's going to be in the classroom with my daughter for 8 hours right now, bring me my daughter. Oh, but sir, well, we're a teacher.
I don't think you quite understood.
You don't understand. I'm talking to you. This is different from me. So give me my child or bring me the teacher. One or the other. So now that the principals, securities, the guidance council, everybody's standing down in the lobby. Like I'm not even going irate. I'm just talking like I'm talking to you guys right now. But I'm not going anywhere. And let them know I'm very stern. I'm not going nowhere until I get my daughter in front of me or the teacher. So after a while, a few minutes pass, they bring the teacher and my daughter to me. Okay, sweetheart, you want to stay here? Yes. And you're the teacher? Yes. Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank you. Have a great day. Sir, that's all you wanted?
That's all I said.
That's all I wanted. But two things happened though. You know that now you know my face, and now you know I'm not playing about my child. You understand what I'm saying? So like you're gonna always remember now when you see her, Mr. Dockery is not to be played. Let me just Imani, are you okay, baby girl? Yeah. Go, come on, let's go. We're gonna handle her with care. And honestly, that's what I like. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a part of the thought process that I like. Trauma, call it what it is. But that's how I'm living my life, man.
Again,
but there's so much in that, man, and dealing with like and not the masculinity of confrontation, right? So it was clear that you were serious, but you didn't go in there in a confrontational manner. Like you said, you had the calm voice, but you were very assertive, right?
Facts.
What it was. And so it's a confidence, in that, right? And I even want to like illustrate it even just through body posture, right? Because we talking about how it is, from the streets, and how your mom was, right, or whatever. Like how we come with a different energy, right?
Right.
And most of the time, your shoulders is up here, your head is down, because But what's more confidence is being in a more vulnerable, position, right? With your shoulders back, your chest up, and your chin up, right? I'm more at danger. I'm more vulnerable to a physical attack and a threat with my chest up, my chest out, my shoulders back, and my chin up.
Facts.
Right. If I wanted to be in a protective state, I'm You got the chin tucked in. We understand this. We understand this when we're in the womb. A baby goes into a fetal position to protect the vital organs in the chin. I remember my wife was pregnant and the balloon popped in the office. This was my first child before my wife was home. Balloon popped in the office, and she was like, "Yo, I felt baby girl just like balled up." A baby goes into a fetal position. So when we really thinking that we being, I'm super tough and I'm hard, man, you walk around in a fetal position. you walking around. How tough are you really? Unless you're willing to say, "Yo, I'm man enough where I'll put myself in vulnerability. I'm gonna stick my chest out, my chin back, and my chin up, and my shoulders back, and I'm going to be safe enough and comfortable enough to present myself in this fashion." Why? Because the true masculinity is, let me operate in environments where that's not threatening to me. How do I have foresight to put myself in environments where I don't have to walk around like, yo, we in prisons or like, yo. So I understand it if I'm not in an environment where you can walk around like that. But true masculinity is having the vision and the foresight to put yourself in environments where I can walk around, right? And really show the confidence of vulnerability of having my chest out, shoulders back, and chin up.
That's a fact, man. That's a major fact. And I'm glad you said that, Jay, because like it is a true confidence when you're able to put those shoulders back and your chest back and your chin up. It's the posture of confidence. And in order to have that, you got to know your surroundings, right? You got to know what's going on about you, because when you don't know what's going on, it's kind of hard to be confident. When you walk into a room and you don't know what's going on around you, you're not the most confident person, especially in that moment. But like you said, Jade, when you have the ability and the masculinity to understand that, let me remove myself from certain environments and place myself to where I can feel comfortable and being able to live in my own truth and my own authenticity, that's when life is really phenomenal for you. So all the kings out there, I really hope that if you got anything from this conversation, that you understand that true masculinity is not by having to be confrontational all the time, but it's also understanding and having the foresight to realize like, yo, I can move myself or remove myself from the situation and put myself in a better situation in the long run. Because the truth of the matter is we all are here for the long game anyway. That short game does nothing but hurt you in the long run anyway.
Chess, not checkers.
Facts. Yo, guys, this has been a dope conversation, man. Yo, normally, James, we have nuggets that the guys live with. You dropped a few, but just for good sake, throw one in for good luck right now. Throw one more in there for the fellas.
Man, listen, I'm gonna say to the fellas, man, we've heard it that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, but I want you to leave a legacy, right? An inheritance is what you leave for somebody. A legacy is what you leave in them. And so operate yourself in a manner. Understand that you're teaching them most by your children most by how they observe you. Leave a legacy in them where they don't have a father that is walking around with trauma, right? Leave a legacy in them where they understand that, when you have pains, don't kick it forward to the future, don't defer it where you pay more for it later, that you deal with it head on, right? Set that example, for your kings and queens, your future kings and queens, your princes and princesses, right? Set that example for them by dealing with your trauma, because sometimes we got to plant the trees today for others to live in shade tomorrow. Everybody's your children's blessings attached to your decision. So make a quality decision, right? To be the example for them, leave a legacy for them of being trauma free. So, man, hopefully that inspires to help somebody. I appreciate you again, Rob, man, for having me on. Love the conversation, and look forward to maybe being invited back one day in the future.
Oh, you definitely will be, man. You definitely will be, especially when we have the rest of the squad with us. We have one other gentleman that we normally on here, and he's the one that gets thrown off regularly. So he's the one that brings the info with us as well. Our man TR, you'll get well out there, man. He's dealing with a hip issue right now. We praying for you, King. Yo, James, do me a favor. Let everybody know where they can contact you at, man.
Man, everybody can check me out on IG at TaylorMade Movement. We help man custom design their lives. Man, trying to do our part. So at TaylorMade Movement, TailorMade Movement on IG.
My man. Yo, KB, man, give the last word for the Kings.
Um, invest. I'm gonna tell you guys it's something to really, really invest in. That's gonna help you from having to pass on trauma to your kids. It's called melatonin. You give them a couple, and they take they behind to sleep.
All right. So I had to get. I had to throw him out. See, what happened was our man TR is not here, so I guess he feels like he has to take this place. We don't condone drugging our babies online.
No, it's all good.
Like a little melatonin ain't hurt nobody. He's saying that's what KB is saying right now, but we don't condone any drugging our babies online. Yo, man. Yo, we had some comments going on over here as well. Awesome combo, guys. We appreciate you, Mo. Hey dudes, it's the truth. Most people were abused. Absolutely. Yo, guys, everybody that was rocking with us through the comments and all this time with us, we greatly appreciate it, man.
Love.
And my final words for you guys: this: have the confidence, have the understanding to know that you don't have to be physically aggressive to be the man that you think you are. Right? You don't have to deal with altercations with your fist. Word. Understand that. And that's coming from somebody who used to live that way. You don't have to. Remove yourself from the situation. That makes you just as tough as the person that's coming at you. Remember that. Yo, fellas, you know that energy, you know the vibe. To the world, you're just a dad. But to your family, you're the world. Don't you ever forget that. And then, fellas, until next time we see you guys, be good to yourselves and the ones around you. But if you can't be good to the ones around you, it's all right. Just get those folk from around you. Yo, this is RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman. And this has been the Imperfect Fathers Podcast. Y'all be blessed and enjoy y'all week. Peace, y'all.
Bye. Wait, bye.
Bye, baby girl.